Hey everyone. Have you ever had a situation where your smoke detector goes off and you have no idea why? Maybe because there's smoke in the building that you're unable to see. Maybe the temperature is rising too fast and the smoke detector thought it was fire. Or it could just be that you have a combination smoke detector and there are dangerous levels of carbon monoxide in the area. No matter what the issue may be, smoke detectors are incredibly important for keeping buildings and people safe. And it's important to make sure that everything involved in these smoke detectors are working properly so that any issue involving fire, smoke, or carbon monoxide can be avoided. So right now I want to talk about various issues with smoke detectors that are often overlooked and why paying attention to them is highly advised. I'm going to go over how exactly the smoke detector works, places where the smoke detector would work efficiently and places to avoid. Common mistakes people make with their smoke detectors, and ways that you can go about making sure that your smoke detectors are working fine with as much efficiency as possible. First, I want to talk a little bit about smoke detectors in general. Smoke detectors are not something that many people think of very often, and they usually end up getting ignored for long periods of time. I think this is pretty funny considering in most buildings, smoke detectors are almost everywhere you look, and, most of the time people ignore them. Maybe you just see it too often or something, but you don't pay attention to smoke detectors too often. Hopefully you do. Most of the time people won't actually bother worrying about them, until there's actually a fire or heavy amount of smoke in the area, or when they decide to go off for some unknown reason. Smoke detector awareness is very important, and knowing how things could affect your smoke detector and proper maintenance could help you or someone you know immensely. And next, let's talk about one thing that many people overlook, and that's why smoke detectors will go off seemingly at random. Many people think that when smoke detectors activate almost at random, it's to do with low battery, and that's not always the case, but a lot of the times it is. Various factors can trigger your smoke detector, and it's important to be aware of these. Having a smoke detector in any kind of kitchen setting is usually a setup for constant alarm. Due to the potential for smoke to arise, this can cause smoke detectors to go off. To avoid this, it's good to keep smoke detectors at a reasonable distance away, but not too far away as to completely remove it from the area. Next is having a smoke detector too close to a window. Some don't know this, but the draft coming from a window or a doorway to the outside can trick the smoke detector into thinking it's seen smoke due to the particles outside. Humidity and steam can also mess with your smoke detector into thinking that it's seeing smoke, and this too can trigger it. It's best to keep this away from areas that produce a lot of steam and moisture, places like sometimes basements with laundry machines of any kind that can produce a lot of moisture. Anywhere where steam is, often want to avoid those. Lastly, batteries are one of the main culprits for false alarm. It's good to have batteries in a smoke detector checked at least once a year. Batteries being low are one thing, but there will be more on batteries coming up. Lastly, let's talk about common problems with smoke detectors that can be avoided that may cause smoke detectors to either not work well or at all. These problems are ones that some people overlook because there's actually no fire. Or, unless there's actually a fire, no one would really know if there was something wrong with the detector or not. First, let's go back to the subject of batteries. Having to replace your batteries after long periods of time are completely normal, and it's a common problem that many smoke detectors have. But if it's been more than a year and the smoke detector still has problems, it may be due to battery corrosion. When a battery gets old and corrodes, it could damage the inside of the smoke detector, causing the smoke detector to be faulty. If this is the case, it's well advised that you replace that smoke detector as soon as possible. Corrosion has a lot to do with If the batteries corrode inside the smoke detector, it may not do anything if you catch it fast enough, but it has the potential to corrode the insides of the smoke detector, and once those are corroded, it doesn't work at all. It has to do with how the smoke detector detects the smoke. And if those don't work, well, you have to replace it. Next is the problem with installation. Having a smoke detector installed improperly. Having a smoke detector installed in the wrong place can cause many issues. Like I mentioned earlier, keep the smoke detector away from kitchens, doorways, and windows, bathrooms, laundry rooms, and even places where wood may be burning, like maybe you have a fireplace or some furnace of some kind, or somewhere where you just burn wood for heat. It's also advised by the National Fire Protection Association that there should be no more than 12 inches away from the top of the alarm to the ceiling. If it's too low, it might have trouble detecting the smoke. And if it's too high, right at the corner of the wall, that's considered dead air. And what that does is it makes it to where you can't really detect anything there. So you want to have it at least high up, but not right at the corner. Overall, smoke detectors are a very important item for any building so that the occupants of the building are notified when there's a potential fire around. It can also be an amazing tool to detect dangerous levels of carbon monoxide, the silent killer. It's very important to be able to detect when a smoke detector isn't working correctly. I've shown you today the causes of malfunction of smoke detectors and the causes behind them. Hopefully with this information, you'll be able to correctly manage the smoke detectors in your home and workplace. Thank you.